Nun Ches Amid Beis. That is 58b. We start from Amar Mar. Amar Mar, the master taught. Let me tell you where it is. It's about 15 lines up. There's 2 dots there. It's a little below half the page. Let's see, what we learned before was we were talking about bells that don't have the clapper inside. We said that a bell on an animal is not makabel tumah. So what are you talking about? Bell on an animal is makabel tumah. We had a contradiction. We said, yeah, it depends if it has the piece inside. We said a bell on a child needs to have the piece inside because that's what it's made for, to hear him or to hear him either moving around or maybe it pacifies him. But a bell on an adult's garment, that doesn't need, that's just a tachshit, that's just a decoration, a design. Amar Mar was taught before in the Brisa that the bells for the children or for those other things that require the clapper inside in order to become tamei, but nitlu in belayim, if the clapper was removed, adayin tumasan alayim, the tumah remains on them. Now, tumasan alayim doesn't necessarily mean that they were tamei, and the tumah doesn't come off as it would when you break a keli. That's not necessarily what it means. It could mean that it's not tamei, but adayin tumasan alayim means that it's still susceptible to tumah. In other words, the way that I make something tar is usually I put it in the mikveh. But there's another option. You break it. It's not a keli. It becomes tar. But then there's something else. There's the only thing that could become tamei is a keli. So here I have this metal bell, and it's not tamei, but it's susceptible to tumah because it has the clapper inside. It's a finished product. If I take out the clapper, it's called the inbel in the Hebrew. If I take out the inbel, so then it's still susceptible to tumah. The Gemara says, 1 second, why is it susceptible to tumah? L'may chazi, what do you do with it? It has no usage. The Gemara says, it's not considered not a keli anymore because you took out that inside. That thing inside, you see on Dr. Stein's picture there, you just can hook it in. You put the thing back in, it goes in. And so therefore, it's still considered a keli even though that piece was removed. It's not considered broken. Masiv Rava has a question. Hazug ve'imbol chibar. There's a term, chibur, means that the bell, the zug, the bell, and the imbal are connected. Now, what does that mean they're connected? So there's different relevance. One is that if tumah touches the bell, the imbal also becomes tummy, or the opposite. The tumah touches the imbal, the bell becomes tummy. It also has to do with hazah, when you're sprinkling, that I can sprinkle the water of the paraduma if it was tummy mace. I can sprinkle the water onto the bell, and the clapper that's inside the bell becomes tar as well because it's connected. But what we're seeing here from the fact that he says it's a chibur is that when it's separated, it's considered broken. Chibur means that they're attached. That means they become one item. It means if you take it apart, you only have half an item. That means that it should become tar. Maybe you're going to answer me like this. That that's not what Rava means. You see, we just extracted out of the word chibur, which was a halacha relevant to that the tumah spreads from one to the other, that means that when it's separated, it's broken. Maybe that's not the pshat in what Rav is saying, in the brisa that Rav is quoting. Maybe this is what it means. Even though it's not attached, command the mechaber dami. It's as if it's attached. In other words, it's considered attached It's exactly the opposite. That even when it's separated, it's not considered broken. Chibur means that it's always ready to be reattached. The new taich over here. Maybe we could touch it differently. Umar says that's a problem. You can't do that. You can't say that when it's taken apart, it's still considered like it's attached. Why? Because we have the following brisa. Maspeir shel prakim. You have a scissors, like in the picture there, that comes apart. The scissors, the two pieces come off. Be'izmel shel rehitni, in the blade of a plane. The plane is when you scrape down wood to make it smooth. They do that sometimes on your door if it doesn't close right. So they scrape it down so it doesn't bang every time. So those were two pieces. There was the handle, and then there was the blade that would go in it. The handle actually had two pieces as well. It held the blade inside, and it would be clasped together. So those are chibur l'tumah vein chibur la'azar. We consider the two pieces of the scissors and the two pieces of the plane, the handle and the blade, connected regarding tumah, that if tumah touches either one side of it, the other side becomes tumah, and vice versa. However, when it comes to sprinkling, you have to sprinkle the water of the paraduma on both. We asked the question on this. We had this Gemara 10 pages ago. It says, if it's connected, probably the word nami is supposed to be added. Then it should also be connected for the sprinkling. And if it's not connected, then it shouldn't be connected for tumah. Is it one item or not? What are you saying? It's one item for this and not one item for that. So Rabbi says, the truth is, while you're using it, it's considered attached. When you're not using it, it's not considered attached. While you're using it is, when you're not using it, it's not. However, they made a gzeira. When you're not using it, they said that it becomes tamei midirabanan, as if you were using it. That means the whole item becomes tamei, even though tumah only touched one side and you're not using it now. So it's not considered attached. But nevertheless, because when you are using it, it is considered attached, so the whole item becomes tamei midirabanan. When it comes to the sprinkling, even if you're using it at the time of the sprinkling, which is interesting, multitasking. You're using the item and sprinkling it at the same time. So it's considered attached, but we say that it's not attached. Because midirabanan, if it wouldn't be in use, it would be separated. Whatever the case is, we quote this long discussion, a brisa with a question and an answer. We're trying to bring out that the whole connection in this item is only when it's attached. No one claims that when it's detached, it's still considered a keli. It's still considered attached. No one says that. It's only while it's attached, there's a possibility that maybe it's considered one item. So if we go back to our pshat, zug ve'imbel chibur, that the bell and the clapper are one, that's only while it's attached. No one would say that when it's separated, it's considered that it's still one keli. We're not suggesting that if you touch one side, the other side becomes tummy, even though it's not attached. What we're suggesting is that it still should be considered a keli, even though that chibur means it's still considered a keli, even though they're separated. No one would say that. So elam marava. So we need a new pshat here. What does it mean that it's still tamei? It remains tamei, even though the imbel was taken off, even though the clapper was removed. That's the original discussion here. We said that if you take off the imbel, the clapper, the bell remains tamei. Yeah, so what do you do with it? It has no usage. So Abaya said because the hedyot can put it back on. Rava says a different shot. You could bang it on something else. The bell doesn't need to be banged, doesn't need to be rung by the clapper that's inside. You could bang it onto something else as well. So it still will have a use. Rashi over here summarizes the halachas that we learned regarding a bell. The top Rashi. He says, Vahashti taitzu kulu. If you see that in the third line down. Now we have the pshat and everything. He says the bell of an animal is tar if it doesn't have the clapper, because it's not considered a utensil. If it has the clapper in it, then it's going to be tamei, because the clapper makes it into a utensil. If it's an adult, then it doesn't need the clapper because it's considered a tachshit, considered an ornament on his clothing. And that's what we said, that it's makabel tuma. If it's a child, a bell on a child, then it needs the clapper in it. Otherwise, it's tar. And if you take the clapper off after it was already made, then it still remains tamei. Why? Because it's not considered really broken, because you can still use it by banging it on the side. So what's going on over here is that, so why do you need to put the clapper in to make it tamei? So what's happening is it's not considered a finished keli. Something about nigmru malachtan. It's only nigmru malachtan once you put the clapper in. If you remove the clapper, it's already a finished keli, and it actually still has a use. The use is that you can bang it on a ceramic, and it will still give off a noise. Bang it on his face. His face rings a bell. Okay. Itmar, we have a statement of Amiroim. Itmar Nami. It was stated by Amiroim. Amar Rabbi Yosi bar Chanina. Rabbi Yosi bar Chanina says, "Hayol v'rei lakish al gabi cheres." Can bang it on a ceramic. Okay, so that means it's going to remain a keli even after the clapper is taken out. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, Hayol v'rei legamea b'mayim latinik. Well, you can turn it upside down, and you can use it as a cup. It's a small bell, but little children, when they start to drink, you give them small cups. So, not the bell in Pennsylvania. That's a little bit large. But these little tassel type bells. So that could be a small cup. Okay. It's a big chiddush here, which the Gemara is going to discuss. The Gemara says, Rabbi Yochanan leiboyim en malacha rishayna. Rabbi Yochanan doesn't require that a keli that's broken needs to have its original use to remain a keli. Look, I can use, let's say I have a ceramic and it breaks. What would consider it still a keli? Well, if it can still be used to hold items. But the fact is that I can use that ceramic, maybe my table shakes and I can put a ceramic under one of those shards and it has a usage now. It holds up from one leg. So you can always find a usage for something, what exactly it is, but it's some obscure use that has nothing to do with its original usage. So the Gemara is a little surprised when Rabbi Yochanan says the bell breaks, then now you can use it as a cup to feed a baby. He says, but it doesn't have its original usage. That's anything broken, you can find some other usage for. You can turn this shard into a mail, let's say an envelope opener or something, So Vahatanya, we even have a brisa. It says V'chol keli yeshiv alavakeh. So here we have to quote the pasuk. Pasuk says, Kol hamishkav asher yishkav alav hazav yitma. It's any bed that a zav sleeps on or lays on will become tummy. The type of tummy here is called tumas medras. What happens is a zav is an avatuma. The zav is a man that has an emission, abnormal. It's an illness, and would be comparable to an illness. It's a tumah, but it's a more severe tumah. He needs to go to the mikveh in a mayan. In a spring, a mikveh doesn't help. You can't use the regular still water. But what he lays on doesn't become a secondary tumah. It becomes an avatuma just like him. And then it says, V'chalakeli asher yeshev alav. And any vessel that he sits on has the same halacha. So the Gemara learns like this. There's a long Rashi here that says what not to say over here. Apparently there were other limudim that come from this, and Rashi says that's from other psukim. So we have a brisa that says, V'chol keli asher yeshev alav. Quotes the pasuk. Any vessel that the zav sits on becomes an avatama. V'gaimer, etc. Yachal kafasav yeshev alav kafatarkiv yeshev alav. Well, there are these buckets that are measuring buckets. There's a saw or a tarkev. Tarkev is 2 kav, tray kav. And the saw, which I think is 5 kav, 6 kav. So a saw would be 6 kav. It's 144 eggs, and a kav is 24. That makes sense. That's 6 kav. Let's say someone takes one of these measuring buckets and he turns it over. Yehi tameh. Maybe it should be tameh with it's a vessel, so it's going to become tameh. But let's say it should become tameh like a mishkav or a moishav, mishkav or moishav of a zav, which means that it gets the status of an avatama, just like the zav himself. Should have that special tumas medras, not special, unspecial tumas medras. Talmud Laimar, it says no. Asher yeshiv alav azav. It needs to be what the zav sits on. Mishim yuchad yeshiva has to be designated for sitting, not some bucket that's used for some other that you turned over and now you're sitting on it. It's a very interesting expression in the Mishnayos about what's considered something that's a chair. Is that if people come over to you when you're sitting on it and they tell you, get off because we need to finish our work, so they won't tell that to you if you're on a chair. If you're on a chair, you're sitting on a chair. But if you're sitting on his tool, they'll tell you, get up, we need to do our work. This is not what this is made for. So that's the expression that it's not considered a chair.
We learned that not that long ago, right?
Yeah, we've had this quoted.
Yeah.
That's the expression that means that's not what it was meant for. So the Bryce over here says that if you sit on something, according to this first opinion, if you sit on something that's not made as a chair, then it's not considered a chair. It's a different, and it doesn't get that tumah. Rabbi Lazar says, oh, this is so interesting. We quoted this as a brisa, and now we have Rabbi Lazar. I wonder if this is really... Okay, let's see. Rabbi Lazar b'midrasa is when it comes to tumas medras, that's how it is. We'd say that it needs to be mamish a chair. And we tell the guy, get up, so let us do our work. That means that if it doesn't have the correct, if it's not being used as with its correct usage, it doesn't have the tumah of a medras. Rabbi Lazar says that by tamei meis, if a vessel breaks, I don't say that if its new usage that it has now that it's broken is a totally different usage than its original usage, I don't say that it's tahar because it's broken. I say, no, it has a new usage and it's still considered a vessel. So in other words, it can switch usages when it breaks and it's still considered a vessel. When it comes to a medras, a chair, then it needs to have its original usage. Only then is it considered medras. By tamei meis, it's a stringency that it's still considered a vessel, even though it doesn't have its original usage. So the expression "Amayid v'nasa malachtenu" means that it has some other usage and it's still considered a ein aimrim. Amayid b'tamei meis amayid v'nasa malachtenu means even if it has a new usage, it's still considered a vessel and it's susceptible to tumah. Rabbi Yochanan says, "Af aimer b'tamei meis amayid v'nasa malachtenu." Rabbi Yochanan says that even by tamei meis, if it takes on a new usage, then it's considered not its original usage. It's considered that it's not a vessel anymore. What we've just done is we've quoted the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan that if its original usage has switched because it broke, it loses its status as a vessel. So back to the bell. If the clapper falls out, Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina said that it's still considered a vessel, still considered a Eily, because I can bang the bell, can ring the bell against a pot, a ceramic. And Rabbi Yochanan said it's still considered a vessel because I can use it to give a child to drink. 1 second. To give a child to drink is a different usage. And here we just quoted Rabbi Yochanan that regardless of the tumah, if it changes its usage, it doesn't have the same status as a vessel. It's a contradiction in Rabbi Yochanan. The Gemara answers, Eipach kamaisa. Switch the opinions regarding the bell and say that Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina is the one that says if it's still usable, the bell is usable to give a child to drink, then it's considered a bell. And it's considered still a vessel. And Rabbi Yochanan's the one that says you have to be able to ring it on the side, to ring it against a ceramic. Okay. The Gemara says, why are you choosing? We had a contradiction in Rabbi Yochanan. The bell, according to the first statement, the way we had it at first regarding the bell was that if Rabbi Yochanan said that if a child can drink out of it, it's still considered a vessel. And we had a statement about a utensil that breaks by tamei meis, that Rabbi Yochanan says that if it has a new usage, it's not considered a vessel. If it doesn't have its original use, it's not a vessel. That was a contradiction. So we said switch the first one regarding the bell, and that way Rabbi Yochanan will match up. The Gemara asks, why switch the first one? Maybe switch the second one regarding the utensil that breaks. The Gemara says, well, Hasheminan leila Rabbi Yochanan the boy man malacha rishayna. We have another source where Rabbi Yochanan says that it needs to have its original usage. So because of another source, we know that you have to do this anyway. Ditnan, it was taught in the Mishnah. It says, sandal shel behema shel matechas. If I have a sandal, it's a sandal, but it means over here like a shoe, an animal shoe. I don't know if it's a horseshoe or some shoe that's used for. It's a cap that goes over the foot of the animal. It's tummy. Now, there's an issue with animal utensils being tummy. It has to have a usage. Just ornaments on an animal aren't tummy. Only ornaments on a human are tummy. So what is the usage of this? The usage of the animal isn't enough to make it tummy. So it says, L'may chazi, what do you do with it? Amarav royalistis b'mayim b'milchama. If you're at war, you need a drink. So you pull this thing off the animal or whatever, maybe it comes off, and you could drink from it. So, yeah, they do all types of things. And Rabbi Chanina Amar Roya Lasich Beishemen b'Milchama. Rabbi Chanina said that you can use it to hold oil. So far we have two opinions here. We have Rav's saying that people can drink water from it. Rabbi Chanina that says that you can use it to hold oil that you're going to smear on yourself. Rav doesn't want to say like Rabbi Chanina. He doesn't believe that people are going to bring oil to battle. So that's more of something that they would do leisurely, not when they're in battle. Rabbi Yochanan b'shasha b'reach min hakarev minicha b'ragle v'ratz al kaitzin ala barkanev. He says if he's running away from an enemy, he can put it over his own foot. He'll be able to step on thorns and other sharp things. Now, Rabbi Yochanan just said that it's considered a utensil because it's being used as a shoe. That means that Rabbi Yochanan will not consider it a utensil if it switches usage. It needs to have its original usage to be the usage that it was made for is the usage that will consider it a utensil. According to Rav and Rab Chanina, it didn't need that. According to Rav and Rab Chanina, we were giving it a different usage to make it a utensil, a new usage. He was drinking, or it was holding oil. The Gemara now finishes off this discussion. It says, "My bin Rav lo Rav Chanina." What's the difference between Rav's opinion and Rav Chanina, if it's to drink or if it's to hold oil? It could be nayu demas. If it's dirty or gross, according to Rav, then no one's going to drink from it. But according to Rav Chanina, maybe you can still hold oil in it. And like we said before, that Rav doesn't accept the view that someone's taking oil out to battle. What's between Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Chanina? What's the difference? It could be nayu diyaker, if it's very heavy. According to Rabbi Chanina, well, it's a heavy oil container, which is okay. But according to Rabbi Yochanan, when he's running away, he's not going to put on weights on his feet to run away, because that's going to slow him down. So that's not going to be considered a utensil. Okay, so now we know why we switched the opinions of Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina and Rabbi Yochanan, because Rabbi Yochanan, we have another source that he holds that it needs to be its original usage. Okay, V'loi be'er shel zav. A woman is not allowed to go out with a city of gold, which we said was either a like some sort of necklace or a crown. My be'er shel zav. Rabba bar bar Chanam Rabbi Yochanan. Rabba bar bar Chanam says the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Yerushalayim did the hava. Yerushalayim shel zav, right? Shel zahav, I have to say, or else it doesn't go with the song. Kida Ovid le Rabbi Akiva le debisnu, like Rabbi Akiva made for his wife. I wasn't far off, Moshe. Rabbi Akiva made for his wife, which I believe over there, it said that it was a crown. What does it say over there in your, do you have a commentary?
No, I'm just saying because here in the Stein, the Hebrew Steins also it said it was a brooch.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, over here I have the Gemara Nadarim quoted. Oh, it just says a tachshit over here.
Yeah.
I understood it was a crown because the Gemara describes it while Rabbi Akiva is taking the straw out of Rachel's hair because they didn't have mattresses; they were sleeping on straw. So he tells her that if I would have money, I would make you a crown of gold, golden crown of the city. I assume that's what he was saying while he was pulling the straw out. So it was going to be a crown, but it could be that that's what he was commenting. He would make her a necklace. of I don't know. Okay, very appropriate. The Rabbi Akiva story now during the Sphere Seimer. Years ago, I told my kids the story that Rabbi Akiva went to study, and when he came back, so this woman comes out and kisses his coat, and the students want to push her away. Rabbi Akiva says, "No, all of my Torah and all of your Torah is for her. It belongs to her." So, and then I continued the story. I said that then the 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva passed away during this time. So my kid said, "Is it because they tried to push her away?" That was a new connection that no one put together, but from the kids' minds. That's okay. Tana Rabbanan was taught in a brisa, like Tetzi Isha Be'er Shel Zav. It's a Tosefta. A woman shouldn't go out with this ornament, this golden city. But if she does wear it on Shabbos, she's chayev. Chayev chatas. She's chayev chatas. Div Rabbi Meir. That's the opinion of Rabbi Meir. Chachamim say she shouldn't go out, like the first opinion. However, she's exempt. Apparently, it's only a rabbinic decree. Rabbi Eliezer says, it's probably Rabbi Lazar, but let's see if I have a different version here. Nope. Rabbi Eliezer is way earlier than Rabbi Meir. So Rabbi Eliezer says, Yetzi Isha Be'er Shel Zav L'chatchila. There's no problem at all. It's mutter l'chatchila. So what's the three-way machlekes over here? Rabbi Meir says you're not allowed to carry it. You're not allowed to wear it because it's a burden. It's not considered an ornament. I don't know why he holds this. I guess in his experience, this is not something that people normally wear. This is some sort of costume. It's not something that you wear. No, why not? Rabbi Akiva, his teacher, made one for his wife. Rabbanan Savri, the Rabbanan hold tachshatu. No, it is a piece of jewelry. But however, Dilma Shalfa Mechavi Levastia Lasuye. She may take it off to show a friend. Say, look at what I got. Look at this gift. Look at this nice piece, and this is how much I paid for it, or whatever she wants to tell her friend. And she's going to end up carrying it. So she's going to take it off to show. Rabbi Eliezer Savar Man Dark Lemeipat Be'er Shel Zav. Who would walk outside with the city of gold? Isha Chashuva, an important woman. Isha Chashuva Le'Mishalfe Mechavia. She's not going to take it off and show it to anyone. Important women don't show those things to say that Margaret Thatcher meets with the Queen of England every week. One time she wore the same. She was wearing a dress that the Queen of England was also wearing, and that's a big violation. So she writes a letter apologizing. So the Queen responds that Your Highness does not take into consideration anything that commoners wear. So anyway, they're not going to take off their this crown or whatever it is and show it to anyone. It's no one's business. They're in their own world. Okay, klila. Klila is another type of piece of jewelry that goes over the forehead, similar to the tits. Could be made out of silver or gold. Rav Aser v'Shmuel Shari. Rav says that you can't wear it. Shmuel says you can. Shmuel Shari. That's if you want to remember. Shmuel Shari. Shmuel, the shin. Shmuel permits it. The first version of this Gemara goes like this. There's going to be a second version. If it's made out of niska means something molten. That means that it's made out of metal, a precious metal, silver, gold. Everyone says that that's aser, because that you might take off. Ki pligi da, it's take off to show to someone. Ki pligi da ruksa. The whole machlekes is if it's a strap that has in it other precious jewels that are put inside it. So Marsavar over there, Marsavar Niska Iker. One of them holds that those pieces of jewelry that you studded inside this strap, people are going to want to show to each other. Say, look at what I embedded into this cloth. Marsavar Ruksik. The other one says, no, it's just a cloth. No one's going to show that to the friend. Okay, so that the klila itself. Aniska itself is, everyone agrees is aser if it was made out of metal. The machlekes with the klila was klila that's ruksa, that's a strap. Ravashi masni lekula. Ravashi has this machlekes Rav and Shmuel differently. He says the ruksa kuli alma pligi the shari, exactly the opposite. Everyone holds it's a strap that has in it, embedded in it, these precious metals or jewelry. Everyone agrees that no one's going to take it off to show. Ki pligi da nischa. The whole machlekes is if it's made out of metal. Marsavar mashalfa mechavi vasila. So one holds that she'll take it off and show a friend. Look at this nice piece of jewelry that I got. What do you say about it? And then she'll end up carrying it. Marsavar man dark lemepak beklila. Who's going to go out with such an important piece of jewelry? Isha chashuva, an important woman. Isha chashuva. An important woman isn't going to take it off and show, like we learned before from Rabbi Elazar or Eliezer, that a woman won't take it off to show to, an important woman won't take it off her jewelry. Amarle Rav Shmuel bar bar Chana le Rav Yosef. I'm not familiar with Rav Shmuel bar bar Chana. I know Rabbi bar bar Chana. So this is the first. Beferish Amritlan Mishmei Derav Kli Lashari. Rav Shmuel bar bar Chana tells to Rabbi Yosef, you told us clearly that Rav says Klila Shari, that it's mutter to go out with a Klila, which is this headband. That it would only be possible if we have the other version of Rav. Because if you take the first version of Rav, so Aniska, if it's molten, everyone holds that it's aser. The whole machlekes is about Araksa. Now Araksa, Rav also says it's aser. So there's no opinion of Rav that says that it's mutter. But if you take the second version of Rav, where everyone agrees that Araksa is mutter, the whole machlekes is Aniska, where Rav says that it's aser. So if Rav said that Klila is mutter, it must be the second version, Rav Ashi's version, and he's referring to the riksa, Klila that's made out of a strap. Amru le Rav. They said to Rav, Asra gaver rabba aricha lenardoi umetala. They told Rav that a great man who's very tall came to Nardoi and he's limping. Now, what happened was there was a discussion in the Gemara. There was a discussion in front of Rabbi, the different ways of bowing down. Now, they said Reb Shimon ben Gamliel bowed a certain way. It's called Kida. Kida was one of the ways of bowing down. Now, one of the students of Rabbi, his name was Levi, he wanted to show how he bowed down. And when he was doing this, he got hurt and he ended up limping. He must have broken something or whatever. He limped after that. So he hurt himself in this demonstration. So Vidarash, so this person came to Bavel, which we're going to see it's Levi, and he's limping. And he taught Kli Lashari, that klila is mutter. Amar man gaver Rabba aricha ditala. Who could it be? Rab is saying, who could it be? A great man that's tall and limping. It's Levi. Must be Levi. Rab says, Shma mina noch nafshi de Revafas. It must be that Revafas passed away. V'yasser Rab Chanina Beresha. You see, what happened was, before Rabbi passed away, he said that Rabbi Chanina Bar Chama should take over. Rabbi Chanina was the great student, and Rabbi Chanina Bar Chama, and he was supposed to take over the yeshiva after Rabbi passed away. The problem was that Rabbi Afas was older than Rabbi Chanina, 2 years older. So Rabbi Chanina didn't want to take over. He was uncomfortable, or out of respect for Rabbi Afas. So he let Rabbi Afas take over, and Rabbi Chanina wouldn't sit there in the yeshiva. He was outside. He was outside the yeshiva. Outside the yeshiva, he wouldn't be there alone. Levi was outside the yeshiva, and they were learning outside, and Rav Afas was giving the shiur inside. So what Rav is saying is like this. It must be that Rav Afas passed away. Rabbi Chanina took over the yeshiva. And now Levi doesn't have anyone to learn with. So he's looking for a chavrusi. He came here to Bavel, to Nardoi. Levi has no one to sit with him. So he came over here. The Gemara says, 1 second. That's an assumption, but there's other possibilities. The Dilma nach nafshi de Rabbi Chanina. How do you know that there were 2 steps here? Rabbi Afas passed away. Rabbi Chanina went inside, takes over the yeshiva, now leaves Levi without anyone to learn with. Apparently, Levi wouldn't go and sit in the shiur and listen as a student to Rabbi Chanina. But how do you know that that's what happened? Maybe really what happened is Rabbi Chanina passed away, and Levi's outside. But Rav Afas is still there teaching, and Levi doesn't have who to learn with outside. And that's why he is here. The Gemara says, no, that's not a possibility. Because Levi doesn't have a problem going to sit by Rav Afas. He only went outside because Rabbi Chanina was outside. But if Rabbi Chanina would have passed away, then he would have gone inside and sat by Rav Afas. So it must be that Rav Afas passed away. Rabbi Chanina went inside. And now Levi's here because he doesn't have a chavrusa. Another problem with saying Rabbi Chanina passed away is the Rabbi Chanina le'sagid le'malach. It's impossible that Rabbi Chanina wouldn't have taken over the yeshiva. Malach is to rule. He takes over the yeshiva. Because when Rabbi was passing away, Amar Chanina Rabbi Chama Yosef Bereish, he said that Rabbi Chanina Bar Chama is going to take over the yeshiva. It says regarding tzadikim, Vatigzar Omer Vayakim Lach. When he makes a decree, it occurs. He has to take over the yeshiva. He can't say that he died without taking over the yeshiva.
Rabbi Smith.
Yeah.
I'm not understanding. We said if his Rebbe died, he would have gone inside the yeshiva. But if his Rebbe became the Rosh Yeshiva, he would not go inside the yeshiva?
Yeah. Apparently, he was outside with Rabbi Chanina because Rabbi Chanina wouldn't sit by Rabbi Afas. But Levi himself would sit by Rabbi Afas. Why did he go to Rabbi Chanina if he could go inside? Well, out of the honor for Rabbi Chanina, he didn't want him to be alone. He went outside.
So why, if Rabbi Chanina became the Rosh Yeshiva, why would he not follow him inside?
Because he wasn't a student of Rabbi Chanina. He was keeping him company outside. But now that he's Rosh Yeshiva, he's giving a shiur to all the Talmidim, he would have to sit there as a student. So that he wasn't going to do. Unless you have another pshat. They must have been, Levi must have been an equal to Rabbi Hanina. And
Yeah, that's what Steinsaltz says. He says that they were equals and he wouldn't submit to Rabbi Hanina. Yeah.
so he was supportive of him, but he wouldn't have sat there in the classroom. Rabbi Yechanan was a big Talmud of Rabbi Hanina. I forget what it says. When Rabbi Hanina died, he burnt clothing. I forget where that Gemara is. Okay. Darash Levi ben Ardai. Levi taught in Ardai, Kalila Shari. That Kalila is mutter, like we mentioned before. And this headband is mutter for women to wear outside. Nafak Estrin Va'arba Kalili Mikula Nardai. So 24 women just went out wearing this Kalila once he paskin it. It's interesting because Shmuel, anyways, was in Nardai, and Shmuel said that it's mutter. Darash Rabbi Baravua b'Mechuza. Isn't it strange? Does any comments over there? I mean, Shmuel was from Nardai, and he paskin that it's mutter. Maybe Shmuel paskin that it's mutter after Levi paskin that in Nardai. He said we heard a visiting rabbi came here and said it's mutter. So Yidarash Rabbi Baravua b'Mechuza Klila Shari b'Nafkutam Nisrei Klili Michadam Mavua. And 18 women went out from one alleyway after he paskin that it's mutter. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. Is it Amar Rav Shmuel? How does that work? Amar Rav Shmuel. Usually says Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav Shmuel. Kamra, which is a type of belt. Shari. It's a you're allowed to wear it on Shabbos. It's a fancy belt. It's made out of gold, possibly, and sometimes there's stones. It has a jewelry that's embedded into this belt. Ikad Amri, some say that it's referring to that this belt is daruksa, that it's actually just a strap, but inside is studded with gold. But Rav Safra explains, similar to a garment that has jewelry on it, that it's not a problem. Why? Because no one's going to take off their clothing to show to a friend. So therefore, no one's going to take off their belt either. The pants could fall down. So they're not going to take off a belt. They'll take off a piece of jewelry, a cuffling or something, or other things, but not something that's holding up the clothing. Ikad Amri, some say that it's not talking about a ruksa, it's talking about a niska, exactly like we had before by the klila. We're referring to this belt now. Some say that the belt itself was made out of metal. V'amar Rav Safra, and on this Rav Safra explains, Midi dahavi avneit shel malachim, that it's similar to a belt that kings would wear, that I guess they're not going to take it off to show anyone. And since all the Jewish people are considered B'nai Malachim, Chol Yisrael B'nai Malachim Royim Lai, and therefore they're allowed to wear it. Yeah. Kol Yisrael B'nai Malachim, the quote was discussed regarding if you're allowed to use oils that are very expensive on Shabbos, that only kings would use. So there's one opinion that says that you're allowed to, because all the Jewish people are kings. Or there's Man Kriyashma. We have also the B'nai Malachim. They wake up 3 hours into the day. So Amalei Ravina Ravashi, Kamra Ilavei Hamyana Mai. Let's say you have two belts. You put one belt over a regular belt. Is that acceptable? So Amalei, Ravashi says to Ravina, Trehem Yani Kamrit, 2 belts, that's for sure not allowed. You can't wear 2 belts. That's totally a burden, an extra load. Like people, they have a belt on a key on a belt. They have to put it over their tzitzis. Otherwise, if it's over their shirt, then it could be the pants belt is already 1 belt. Or they put it over their jacket or whatever. You can't have 2 belts on 1 garment. Amar Ravashi, Hai Rasuka. This is some sort of cloth. The ispe mafrechiasa. If it has small strands that are attached to it, then shari. You can wear this on Shabbos because it's not going to fall off. Eily, but if it doesn't have these strands, then it's usher. Then it's forbidden. Why? Because it could be that it will fall off, and he's going to come to carry it. Did they give you a translation of this? This rasuki, is there a name for this garment? It has to have some sort of straps to hold it on.
It's probably like maybe it says here like a jacket, maybe like a rain jacket that needs to have like to hold it together. It says rechava, chatichat mi'il rechava. Jacket, that you would like a raincoat.
A poncho.
ArtScroll says it's like a corset.
Oh.
A white strap of material that was tied around one's body. A corset.
So, but that's interesting because I thought the corset was itself what held it on. Here it's saying that you need other straps to hold it in place. Otherwise, it could fall. Okay, I got the idea that if it's not going to fall off, so then then you could wear that on Shabbos. Okay, let's leave it right here.